The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? But can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? I've been scared to look in my soul. I've been afraid I would follow the road. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
And hello, everybody. Welcome inside a Thursday episode of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you, as always, by our good friends over at Greenwood Chevrolet in Austin Town. They go the extra mile for you so you don't have to. And we try to do the same on this show every single day. And we're going to continue to do so today as we continue to feature season previews in the spring sports season. We have a baseball coach's corner to get to today. Staying inside the AAC, we've been in there all week. We're staying in there in Boardman as their head coach on the baseball side, Joe Gabriel, 2022 YSN Coach of the Year. He will be featured today and talking to us about his season, what he expects out of Boardman. Obviously not the season they wanted last year, but I think they learned a lot, and they're bringing a lot of people back, so they'll lean on the experience and the lessons learned from a year ago to come into a very successful season this year. So it was a great conversation with Coach Gabriel. We have a lot of respect for him here on the network. Like I said, he was a 2022 co-coach of the year for a reason. And who knows, if they come back from the season they had last year and have a really strong one and fight for the AAC, you might be hearing his name again in the conversation for Coach of the Year. It is the best day in sports, in my opinion. I love March Madness, especially these next 2 days when everyone's playing. It gets a little bit, not boring, but it gets a little bit more spread out, after the next 2 days when you have less and less teams available. But right here, when you have 3 games playing at once and you're just watching, basketball from literally noon to midnight when the late games start coming in finals, there's nothing better. I'll tell you, I have so many memories watching these bracket games as a kid. Probably one of the first sporting events I really got into was March Madness. You fill out a bracket as a kid. You don't know too much about basketball, but you're watching because you picked this team or that team and you wanted to beat your family, and you had bracket polls and bragging rights on the line. And I love it. I love this time of year. Don't get to watch college basketball as much as I used to. Obviously, we're kind of busy during basketball season. So a little bit more than most years. It's kind of a, throw of the dart. But sometimes people that don't really watch the sport actually do good at this bracket talent. So I'm hoping maybe that works out for me this year, because I don't know nearly as much about the teams as I usually do. I'm usually spending time watching college basketball. But this year it kind of got away from me. I'm not going to be dishonest. It kind of got away from me. I did watch the conference championships though last weekend. We're obviously in a slower period of YSN between the times of fall, winter sports wrapping up and spring sports getting ready to go. So I did check out the conference tournaments. You take that for a grain of salt because it's one and done, and you try to watch these teams, but I'm excited right now. I unapologetically have March Madness up on the TV, so if you see me kind of doing this or getting a little bit distracted, I have Michigan State winning against North Carolina in round 2, so I'm hoping they obviously win their first round matchup. They're up 31-24 at halftime against other MSU, Mississippi State. So watching that on edge, and then another upset I have is playing right now. So it's kind of one of those ones where I'm like, right off the jump, you're feeling it today because I have Duquesne winning their first round matchup, and they just scored. They're up 19-13 on BYU. So I'm hoping that I have a good bracket. I am a firm believer, by the way, that you fill out one bracket. If you're one of those people out there that has a poll and they put 10 different brackets in there and then say, hey, this one worked out, I got this one, I love you as a person. You're awesome. Your value does not decrease at all, but your bracket's invalid. Sorry, that's just how it goes. You don't make 10 different brackets and then brag that one of them hit. You make one bracket. That's it. If you want to enter it in different polls, go ahead, but you make one bracket, and that is it. Done. You have one chance. One chance. I'm a firm believer in that. Don't water it down by making 10 or 20 different brackets and saying, well, this one hit right here. I had 19 that didn't, but this one was good. Congratulations. Why don't you just go make 50,000 brackets and say I got this one perfect? I think you'd have to make a lot more than 50,000. I think the odds of getting the different choices are astronomical on the different brackets that could go down, obviously. But yeah, like I said, best time of year for me. I remember in school when we were at South Range, right? So we had TVs in every room, but they were like those little tiny, maybe like 10-inch TVs in the corner of the room that were just like bolted up there. Some of the teachers were cool and said, we're going to put March Madness on. And, I remember sneaking into classrooms and trying to catch a glimpse of the game because you're in school. You don't know what's going on. These games start at 12. That's 3 hours in school for South Range. And in middle school, we went till 3. So that's 3 hours of school where you don't know what's going on. I absolutely snuck into classes. I was not a good role model student in middle school and high school. I firmly said that. Do not follow my lead. I was like a 2.5 GPA in high school. Did not take high school as seriously as I should have. I'll admit that. But during March, did I have March Madness up on a computer during study hall? Maybe. Not going to confirm or deny that in high school. Did I have it on a tablet through the book? Maybe. I saw one guy on the internet tape it to the back of his friend. So they're sitting behind him, and it's taped to like the back of a hoodie. That was pretty creative there. Way to get past March Madness. But I feel like there's ways that could go terribly wrong. I feel like most teachers aren't stupid enough to not realize that this kid's like staring really weirdly at the back of this kid's head right now and not looking at what I'm saying at all. At least with a book, you're into the book, right? So you do it right, you glance up, you watch the teacher a little bit and you glance down. I'm giving bad advice. Stop it. I'm not a role model, guys. But yeah, so here we are, best couple of days of the year. We're going to have a YSN March Madness party tomorrow. Can't wait for that. And to get together with all of our co-workers and celebrate a great winter sports year. Get ready for the spring by watching some March Madness together. It gets kind of heated because we have different brackets and there may or may not be an office poll. Oh, come on. Get out on that. Okay. So, yeah, good day. I do want to talk about something today that I wanted to talk about yesterday, but me and Scotty were talking and we got lost in our conversation because I did a boys volleyball game on Tuesday in Howland. It was the first time I was able to do boys volleyball. It was the second year of it being a OHSA recognized sport. Or I shouldn't say, yeah, you recognize. Now there's an OHSA tournament. It's an OHSA sport, boys volleyball. So it's the second year of a program in Howland, and they played Berkshire, and I was watching it. I'll be honest, I had expectations of it being kind of just over reliant on your athleticism. I thought these boys are just going to be trying to hit it as hard as humanly possible. I thought I'd see a lot of attack years go long or not even under control. That's what I thought it was, because I obviously was his second year, so I knew a lot of these players probably, were picking up volleyball, trying to learn it, and I think from the outsider's perspective, it's not nearly that deep. So you just kind of pick it up, and all I can do is. But I was actually pleasantly surprised on both sides of the volleyball. I don't know how many players for Berkshire or Holland had ever played volleyball before. I know you could. I know there were clubs out there. If you were a boy that was interested in volleyball, there are definitely ways to play it even before it was an OHSA sport. So I'm not going to sit here and assume that everybody on the floor had never played volleyball before and didn't have any volleyball experience. But I was actually pleasantly surprised at the level of the volleyball that was being played. They were running plays when they were in system. Their defense was actually pretty dang good. Not too many attack errors. The things that were the trouble spots for these teams, and I think it's very understandable. And as you grow into nuance of volleyball, you'll get it. I think there were a lot of net violations, so kind of getting used to being on the net and towing that line between getting a block and being as close to the net as possible. So there were a lot of net violations. I think getting in a rhythm with a setter is going to come as well. There were a lot of really in-system balls that still didn't end up being great attacks because you just weren't in rhythm with your setter yet. So I think that it's the nuance of things of volleyball that need to be worked on. But I was actually pleasantly surprised because I thought it would be even more than that. I thought it would just be guys out there just trying to be athletic and make athletic plays. And, it wasn't that. It was very organized. It was very well coached on both sides. Coach Lingenfelder from Howland, who coaches the girls team as well, doing a great job with her boys. I saw very good things. I saw a couple of boys that looked like they'd been playing volleyball for a long time, and I don't know if they have or not. Like I said, not going to assume because it was definitely possible for you to find volleyball to play if you were a boy and you were interested. But Wesley Fee was a name that really popped out for Howland. I really liked watching him on the outside. Their block was really good. They had 8 blocks as a team, and they didn't have any on Berkshire's side. So their blocking was actually phenomenal for Howland, which is usually a strength in men's volleyball because obviously they're able to get up in the net. Usually blocking is pretty dang good. So Howland, I like where the direction they're going as a boys volleyball program. They had 3 games this week. They lost last night on the road to Carrollton in 4 sets. They lost to Berkshire in 4 sets. But I liked what I saw from a volleyball perspective inside the sport. Like I said, this is no knock, but it was much higher level than I expected going into it. I had low expectations. I thought it was going to be a lot of athleticism, just leaning on athleticism and not really, playing into the traditional volleyball that we're used to. It wasn't always the smoothest thing in the world. The communication still needed to be there. And like I said, getting in rhythm with the setters still need to kind of get there. But for what it is right now, second year of the sport, and probably for a lot of those kids, second year is second or first year, getting on the volleyball court, it was really impressive. It was really impressive. And I hope I get back down there. I told them that, it's a perfect thing if during the spring sports season, obviously volleyball's indoor, so you're not worried about what it's doing outside. So on days where we get rained out for baseball and softball, it might be a good idea to go check out a boys volleyball game and get some more on the air. I was so happy to get one on the air for YSN. Like I said, it was my first boys volleyball broadcast, and just another thing I can check off my list of things that I wanted to see. And I think it was definitely the first volleyball broadcast of the year for YSN. I'm not entirely sure if we got a boys volleyball game last year. We might have gotten a couple out of Louisville. But I didn't do one last year. And I know once baseball and softball hits, a lot of our announcers are taken up with that. But, boys volleyball is definitely something that you need to go check out. If you're a volleyball fan and like watching the girls during the fall and you like the intricacies of the sport, you should go watch these boys volleyball players because there are things that are just a little bit more high flying and a little bit more exciting from a spectator's point of view. One of the things that I saw that was like, man, I should have thought of it, but I didn't anticipate it, was how many balls these boys can get to out at if a ball gets shanked in a girls volleyball game, you out of the court, usually it's danger zone time. But these guys can run down a ball a little bit faster and get to a ball that gets shanked a little bit better. So they were diving on the floor, getting these balls that were way out of the court, which I thought was pretty impressive. And they were actually getting good passes off of them for a lot of the time too. That's one of the things I was, because I think one of the hardest skills probably to grasp is getting that good pass on a hard hit ball, because you can be there, but then you have to be in the right position. You have to get at the right angle. You have to aim it pretty well. But I thought the boys were in system quite a ton. Like I said, sometimes being in system for them really didn't end up as a great swing either, because like I said, the one thing they do have to work on is the rhythm with the setter and just that timing of the sport. But their passing, getting in system and getting a pass on target to the setter was actually pretty dang good. And that's a hard skill to learn. So when they have that under wraps, that is not something that you just do with pure athleticism. You can't just go on the floor and say, I'm an athlete and I'm going to be able to pass on target. That doesn't work. That's a skill you have to acquire to be able to get the ball up in the air on target onto the setter. And I thought these boys were doing a really good job of that. Both sides of the floor, I was impressed. So, like I said, boys volleyball, it was fun. I was glad I did it. I would gladly do it again on days where, maybe we're rained out and there's not a softball game to go to. Would gladly go up there and do more boys volleyball. I hope more and more teams get interested in adding a boys volleyball team as the years go on, because I think it's a benefit, to this adding another sport that kids can go out there and get passionate about. And the boys were thrilled. Like they loved to be on the floor. It definitely did not seem like it was something they were just doing just to be there. They were into it. There was energy off the bench. There was one, I couldn't pinpoint who it was, but there was one player for Howland that was like, every point they got, he was just fired up like they just won the set. I loved it. So they wanted to be there, that's for sure. It was not something that they were just doing as an after school activity just to stay busy. You could tell they wanted to be there. They wanted to succeed. They wanted to be competitive. That's another thing I really like to see yesterday during the boys volleyball, is just having these kids want to be there, be invested, be coached. They were coached really well. They handled what the coaches were saying to them, because they still have things to learn. They weren't just shrugging off the coach or whatever it may be. They were getting coached. They were being very receptive. Those are the things I really enjoyed seeing. That in the much higher level of volleyball than I expected. We're just pleasant surprise. I can't wait to get back. I can't wait for more teams to add boys volleyball. I think there are definitely teams with the pool that you could get. So we have a comment from Facebook that is shouting out athletic trainers on Athletic Trainer Month. We have great ones. We have seen, and since this is brought up, we have seen. Unfortunately, we never want to see injuries, but the times when we do see the ones that are not good go down, the one bright spot of it is we see these training staffs shine the brightest and do what they're supposed to do. Um, you know, and then we see the teams be able to really take full appreciation on what not just their own athletic training staff, but possibly if they're on the road, what the other team's athletic training staff is able to do as well. One of the coolest moments that I've ever been a part of in one of our broadcasts is a couple of years ago when South Range was playing Poland in South Range. Izzy Lamparty went down with a very bad concussion. That wasn't the part I loved seeing. Poland's athletic trainer was right on the spot, knew what to do. That situation was brutal. It ended the game. They postponed the game. So fast forward to the next time these two teams played, and Poland came back to South Range. They kind of just started the game over, but before the game was started, South Range had a very awesome kind of moment of appreciation for the Poland training staff, giving them gift baskets and just saying thank you for being on the spot and knowing what to do, being trained and doing the job that needed to be required. And that was one of the coolest moments I'd ever been a part of, because that was just an opponent showing respect and gratitude to an opposing team's athletic training staff, and realizing like, hey, that day could have gone not really not good if you weren't there doing your job. And to take that moment, obviously a huge rivalry, they're both going for the conference championship. To take that moment and say there are things above basketball was one of the coolest moments I've ever been a part of as a broadcaster. So absolutely echo that comment. We thank all of the athletic trainers out there that are putting in their work for the high school athletics on Athletic Trainer Month. They definitely put our kids in the greatest positions to succeed and be healthy out on the court, the field, whatever you play on, the rink, the mat, whatever you're playing on. Those athletic trainers are making sure that you're as safe as possible while doing it. So we thank them for that. Absolutely. We're going to take a break on Running Point. When we come back, we will go into our spring sports season preview for the day. It will be Joe Gabriel, the head coach of the Boardman baseball team. That's coming up after this break on Running Point. Brought to you, as always, by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown.
21 News delivers the news as it happens, using the latest technology from where it happens.
Live here outside the Mahoney County.
On air, online,
Wednesday afternoon weather update.
Very dangerous.
and on the 21 News social media platforms.
I'm on the road right now.
21 News, the Valley's only locally owned source for trusted news since 1953.
Craftsmanship to us is 60 years of pride and dedication.
Passed down from generation to generation.
The hardwood floors that your kids take their first steps on.
The solid wood doors you quietly close at night.
The things we create day in and day out are the products that end up turning your house into a home.
At Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods, uncompromising quality and craftsmanship built our business.
And it will keep us moving forward for generations to come.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means we want to take care of the community that takes care of us too.
And we have to work together always. And that's how you stay in business for 40 years.
You know, I love being a helper because when I help somebody, it makes me feel good.
It means a lot that I can make a difference in others' lives.
So I will do everything I can and just being there for them every step of the way.
I want them to know within the first 5 minutes that they could depend on me. That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun, it all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Now you can see every school, to the smallest school, to the intermediate schools, to the schools in the outlying areas. It gives you coverage that you could just never get to before. It's something that's great to experience, and it's opened up a whole new wave of sports viewership. The possibilities are endless here at YSN. Push the envelope every day. Try something new. If it works, great. If it doesn't, well, let's try another angle, and we just keep moving forward. My name is Mike Ackelson, and my sports network is your sports network.
What can you do on over 5,000 acres? At Mill Creek Metro Parks, you can discover unique habitats and wildlife, create memorable family moments, experience history, heritage, and park programs, Explore scenic landscapes. Take time to relax and be well. Connect with nature and each other. Come see what's new at Mill Creek Metro Parks. Plan your trip now at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Going the extra mile at Greenwood Chevrolet means taking care of our local customers.
And it's just a great feeling to put them in a vehicle and get them all excited about a new vehicle.
At the end of the day, our goal is to be someone our customers can count on.
And every day I'll go the extra mile for the community so they can trust us.
To do anything that would convenience the customer or make them feel more at home.
Realizing, number one, that we're here for them and that we're not going to go away.
That's what going the extra mile means, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to Running Point on ysnlive.com, brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown, who you just heard from at the end of that break. And Anthony Hartwig with you, watching the March Madness, obviously on mute. I'm not going to put any copyrighted broadcast up on the air without the express written consent of the CBS and the NCAA, which I do not have. But we're watching Michigan State and Mississippi State right now. We're talking about athletic trainers, and right on cue, unfortunately, a Mississippi State kid just went down with an injury, and it seemed like he was blocked from behind going up for a layup, and the kid that blocked him came down with his arm right to the back of the head. And you always never want to be too careful when it comes to head injuries. The brain is such a obviously important part to our body, so when you see a kid go down with a head injury, you always want to make sure that you are of the utmost care. And the training staff was right there. So happy Athletic Trainers Month right there. Perfect example. Michigan State, who I have winning a few games in this bracket, up by 6. That's good for Anthony. Duquesne up by 9. That's also good for Anthony. So we're going good. It's a good start to the bracket for my picks. We'll see how it keeps going. We will keep watching, as we also want to see how Boardman baseball is going to be doing this year. Had a chance to catch up with the head coach of the baseball team down there at Boardman, Joe Gabriel, a little bit earlier on this week. Had a great conversation with him previewing the baseball season, and we're going to share it with you now. So I hope you enjoy this conversation with the 2022 YSN Coach of the Year, Joe Gabriel. Who knows? Maybe he'll be in the conversation again this year. Hartwig here with another spring sports season preview. We are joined by Coach Gabriel out of Boardman Baseball. We can't wait for another great baseball season in Spartyville, and I know Coach Gabriel is excited as well. Coach, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
No problem. Thanks, Anthony. Thanks for having me.
So before we start talking about this year and how excited we are and the things that we're going to be looking forward to in Boardman, let's talk about last year a little bit, kind of a season recap and lessons that you think you can take into last year to carry into this year of baseball.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we struggled last year. We were finished 8-16, 3-5 in the conference. It was by far probably one of our worst years in the past decade. So we're looking to bounce back from that. Talked a lot with the seniors this year about being unselfish and about leading more, and they've really done a good job of doing that early on here so far.
When you have a lot of guys that went through a season like that, I imagine it makes them really hungry and driven to improve and not let them have to have that feeling again.
Yeah, we played young last year as well. So that obviously, we went through our growing pains last year, and hopefully these guys can learn from the things, like you said, that we struggled with last year. Hopefully we can kind of right the ship this year with some of that stuff.
If you had to pick one lesson that you hope that everyone that's coming back for this year learned from last year, what do you hope that team kind of takes out of last year's season?
I would say 2 things. I would say commitment, being more committed, and then I would say being unselfish. And this year's senior group is definitely an unselfish group. They've definitely been up for the challenge so far early on this year. So we'll see as we kind of get going as the season goes, and just making sure that, in baseball, you get through a lot. You have a lot of adversity throughout a year. So you have to be able to
let's talk about this
kind of ride that.
Let's talk about this roster and the guys that Boardman fans are going to be watching all year, and the guys that you're going to be taking to war with you on the diamond all the time. So talk about the kids that you have in their program and the ones that we're excited to see.
Yeah. I start with our catcher, Charlie Young. He's back. He's been our starting catcher for the last couple of years. He's outstanding behind the dish. We're expecting him to also pick it up offensively this year. Marty Stakowitz in center field. He was our center fielder last year as a junior. And, going around the diamond, Ben Herman is another guy that we only had half the year last year because of a transfer thing. So we're looking forward to having him full time this year. And some new guys in the lineup, like Ivan Rudiak, who was there kind of at the end of the year last year, but he was a young guy. Dylan Barrett's a senior at second base. And some young guys on the mound like Colin Recitar, Ryan Knifer, Tyler Kerlick will look to him to pitch and play the field and hit. Ryan Conti is another senior. We're going to need something. We're going to need some swings out of. Landon Whippo is another guy. He'll be challenging him, and Caden Mayhew will kind of do a lot of different things for us as well.
Well, when you have a name like Whippo, you better be a pretty good pitcher, right?
Yeah.
Every time I hear that.
And another guy real quick, Grayson Eicher. He's a guy that we leaned on heavily last year as a young guy, and we'll lean on him again this year.
Coach, when we talk about the schedule that roster you just found out is going to have to face, we'll start with the conference. Obviously, the AAC, very tough indeed with Howland and Canfield and Fitch and also Warren Harding in there. Talk about the conference as you see it this year and some of the things that you're expecting out of it and what you want to get out of it from your club.
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking to win the conference. So we'll start there. And then, yeah, I mean, the conference isn't going to change a whole lot. It's always tough. Obviously with Fitch, we always have great games with Fitch. Canfield the last few years have really, they kind of dominated the conference over the last few years, and we'll look to kind of, we always have good games with them as well. Howland will be, I think, improved this year with better arms, and I think, Harding's never a fun place to go to and play. They're always a tough team.
Coach, when you look around the conference, also really good coaches. Howland got a new one, and Brenton Taylor had a chance to talk with him earlier on in the week. And then, of course, Gary Niddle runs things really well in Canfield. And Coach Paris and Fitch, you just have a really good coaching room in the AAC. What's it like to be among those coaches and to call yourself one of the ones in the conference? I know you get to have a lot of meetings with them postseason about awards and stuff. What's it like to have just a coach's room in the conference that is always testing you as far as coaching goes?
Yeah, I mean, those guys just make me better. I know that. They're super competitive. Love all those guys. Coach Paris been coaching against him since I was both him and I were assistants. So we've been against each other for the last 20 years. And Coach Niddle and I, we've been good friends for many years as well. And and looking forward to meeting Coach Taylor from Howland and then obviously Coach Burnett. He does a nice job over there at Harding.
Coach, as if your AAC schedule wasn't hard enough, you also have a very heavy and very tough non-conference schedule. Talk about that and some of the teams that you're really excited about going up against this year outside of the AAC.
We always like playing Federal League teams, so it's always fun. We're going to play Green this year. Glen Oak, University School will be an interesting game for us. We go down there this year. Toronto's always a good game. We go there this year to Toronto. I know they're ranked high, at least preseason wise, and they're a lower division, but they're always really good. So we always juice up that. Our schedule is always tough, but I really, that we do that intentionally and feel like in order to get through a Division I tournament, you're going to have to play good teams all year. So
when you're going through making a schedule and you're looking for not just the caliber of teams that you want, but also the different styles of baseball you see, how important is it for you to try to get not just good teams, but different teams to make sure that when postseason comes that you guys have pretty much seen everything that you could see?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're playing different teams, that some teams that play small ball you want to see, some teams that, want to sit back and just knock it around the yard. So we try and definitely do that. And we play 6 different teams down in Florida this year. So that's always a challenge. So yeah, I mean, anytime you can mix up different styles of play, that's always going to make you better.
You guys and the softball team both going down to Florida. I asked Coach Moots the same question. What does that do for you guys? Not just the caliber of teams that you're going to play, but what do you see out of the team bonding and the things that you can get from putting your kids into a situation where they have to live with each other for a week and they really have to get to know each other?
Yeah, I mean, I think you said it. I mean, the team bonding part. I mean, that's the reason you do it. To be honest with you, and obviously you're going to get 6 games in down there because you're going to get good weather, especially this early in the season with the way spring break lands this year, March 29th to April 5th. So you know, we'll get good weather, we'll see good teams, and in terms of team bonding, I mean, we always feel like we come back a better team and a closer team when we get back from Florida.
So when you go to a trip like that and you're able to get the weather, my big question is, what's it like coming back to Ohio and having to deal with the bad weather again?
Well, it's tough because you start to get in a rhythm while you're down there. You play 6 straight games, and then who knows? You can come back here, play one game, and then off for the next 4 games hitting indoors. So it's definitely a challenge and something I think everybody's used to, but you still have to deal with it.
What are some of the ways you like to deal with it? I think every coach kind of handles those weeks where they might have, like you said, 4 games that are out because of weather and you have to hit indoors or whatever you have to do. What are some things that you do to try to keep your team engaged and ready to go in those kind of situations when they're missing 4 days because of weather?
You try and mix up. I think we try and mix up practices and keep them fresh and different things going. But I do think you need to see live pitching as much as possible. So we try and keep that going as well, because you just don't want to mess these guys' timing up a whole lot once they start getting that timing.
Coach, you don't make all the decisions yourself. We know you have a great coaching staff behind you. I want to give you the time to shout out the staff that you've put together and the ones that are going to be helping you make this Boardman program what it is.
Sure. Coach Mingo, he's been with myself and we've been coaching together for years. I mean, he's been coaching for almost 40 years, I think. So Coach Mingo's our pitching guy. He's always been our pitching guy. He's outstanding. He does a great job with our arms. And then Coach Lindak, we brought up this year he was down a freshman last year. He's great. Players love him. Good infield guy. And we grabbed the Fitch native, Joe Roth. So he'll be helping us out as well at varsity. So he obviously knows a lot of the guys well. And I think, they're having a good time with him. And then down at JV, Ray Hill, he's going to head up JV, and he does a great job. He's coming from Howland. And, Coach Patton from Ursuline. He's kind of new, and I know guys are liking him. And Coach Pizzullo, who's another Fitch guy and also a teacher here at Boardman. So everybody, a lot of younger guys, but I think that youth is good because it keeps everything fresh, and the players like that.
Got to make sure Coach Roth isn't putting on an Austin Town Fitch t-shirt under his Boardman pullover this year.
Yeah.
Coach, thank you so much for the time. We're so excited for the season. Before we let you go, I want to give you a chance to give a shout out to the Boardman community, when your first game is and when's the first chance they can have to come see you guys play.
Yeah, we open up here this Saturday against Lakeview, and we go back-to-back varsity JV at 12 and 2 o'clock. So obviously we want as many people as we can to come out. Just bundle up because I think it's going to be a little chilly.
Luckily, it won't be as cold as today. We're hitting a little bit of a warm snap, but you definitely are going to need some layers on Saturday, Coach. Yeah. Thank you so much for the time. We appreciate it. We wish you the best of luck this year. And we can't wait to talk again real soon.
Thank you.
That was Joe Gabriel, the head coach of the Boardman baseball team, joining us with a great season preview of what they're able to do this year and how they're going to learn the lessons from last year. Update on the March Madness. Michigan State up 47-39 right now, 12:45 to go in the second. Still looking good. But this Mississippi State team won't go away. I just want Michigan State to run away with it so I don't have to sweat down the end of the line. Like I said, I have Michigan State winning a couple of games. I have them upsetting North Carolina in the second round. I'm trusting in Tom Izzo. He's won 16 games as a lower seed in March Madness history. So, in Izzo we trust. Duquesne up at the half. That's good for me too. 38-30. Akron and Creighton just started, and it's still close. 16-14. Creighton leads. 13:58 left in the first half. I know a lot of probably local people picking that upset, Akron over Creighton. That would be a big one, but not me. I have Creighton going to the Elite Eight. So I'm hoping against hope that it doesn't happen. The way Akron won that MAC championship, did you see that? Could you believe that happened? Talk about pulling victory out of the jaws of defeat. I mean, just a mental lapse by Kent State. The kid thought that they were still down when they were up by 1, and he went and got an intentional foul and put Akron at the free throw line with like 4 seconds left. You got to feel for that Kent State player because he's going to be living that in his head again and again and again until his career's over. I'm sure that's going to haunt him. But, not saying Akron didn't earn a win. They were right there. They made it close enough that would be a game changer. Another turnover. Michigan State, too many of those. Ooh, big dunk on the other end. Let's see. That makes it 49-41. So still an 8-point game. Michigan State still trying to keep the Bulldogs from in arm's length, but the Spartans struggling to keep momentum on their side right now. And turnovers have been a problem for them all day. Looks like it's still 16-14 Creighton. I'm watching you get the score clickers on the top, and then you're watching one game mid-range jumper for Michigan State. Good. There you go. That'll break up the momentum a little bit right there. I want to know who you guys are picking in March Madness. I want to know who you guys got. We just had a great conversation on the Power Hour, a noon edition of Power Hour, with the bracket busting from Mr. Shinaldi. He's a March Madness nerd like I used to be. Another big bucket for the Spartans. They're up by 10, 53-43. So I want to know who you guys got. Leave me a comment in the comments section in the last couple minutes of this show before we say goodbye until tomorrow. I'm going to just kind of stroll in with the last going of this Michigan State, Mississippi State game. Of course, it's going to commercial. I'm trying to talk about it. What are we doing here? CBS, come on. Media timeouts. You don't need to pay advertisement dollars. Come on. Stick to the game. I know a lot of people are picking UConn, and obviously that's a great pick because they have been one of the only teams this year that has been truly dominant. But the odds are against them when you look at history. They'd be the first repeat champion since 06-07 when Florida did it back in that time. Doesn't happen too often, and it would also be, I think, the first time in maybe 15 or 14 years that the overall top seed won the bracket. So the history of March Madness not really with UConn, but I'll tell you what, they just look like the best team in the tournament. That doesn't matter, though, which was what I love about the bracket, because you just have to be the best team that night. So anything can happen. And usually the team that everyone expects to win ends up falling. But I still fell for the trap. I picked UConn to win it. I still think they're the best. It's hard. You want to pick who you think the best team is. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. But I think UConn is the best team in this bracket. Not too high on the other one seeds. I think, Houston is probably the other one seed that has the easiest path. Like I already told you, I have UNC losing in the second round of Michigan State. So I'm trusting the Sparties to wreck some people's brackets. If that happens, I know a lot of people in my bracket poll will lose some serious points to me if Michigan State upsets UNC in the second round. And Purdue, I want to pick them. I like them. But, man, they have just not done well in tournament time. Last year, they lost to a 16 seed. So there's a big part of me that's kind of very hesitant to make Purdue go far. But they have a favorable bracket, too. I mean, their 3 seed is Creighton. Their 2 seed is Tennessee, who's the lowest rated 2 seed of the tournament. Lost the first round of the SEC tournament. Didn't look good in that game. I think Texas has actually a good chance to knock off Tennessee in the second round. I didn't pick it, but wouldn't be surprised if it happened. So I did pick Purdue to get to the Final Four, but once again, I wouldn't be shocked if it didn't happen. I just didn't have the guts to go and not pick them because I just I wasn't really high on Tennessee, and something just told me that like picking Creighton to go to the Final Four. I know they're the 3 seed; they've been in the tournament plenty of times. Just something told me that it wasn't there yet. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We're back in the Michigan State game. Missed free throw for Mississippi State. So Michigan State's still up by 10. 10:40 to go in the game. And like I said, I'm trusting in Tom Izzo. I think Tom Izzo is definitely one of the best in-game coaches that we have in the country. He's great at in-game, adjustments, and he's really good at winning the games that he shouldn't win in the tournament. There have been times when the games that Michigan State should win fall. They've been upset, a handful of times as a 1 and a 2 seed. But, when you underdog Tom Izzo, history says he's going to be a pretty successful coach. So that's why I'm trusting Michigan State. Tournament experience, good defense. They've played in a couple of close games this year that they lost that could have gone either way. And if they did, they would have been a higher seed. So maybe a little bit underseeded at 9. I'm believing in Michigan State. Right now, this game they're playing, minus a couple of turnover spells, looking pretty good. They're up by 11 now, 56-45 with the basketball. Clock is ticking away if you're Mississippi State. 9:48 to go, and you're still down by double digits. They're both wearing the road jerseys. I mean, Mississippi State's in grays, and Michigan State's or they're dark green. Maybe Mississippi State doesn't have a white. Maybe their homes are gray and their roads are burgundy or maroon or whatever Mississippi State wants to call it. Oh, you got to hit the layups, guys. Wide open 3, got it. Puts Michigan State up 59-45. Let's go, Spartyville. And that's a timeout. We're going to go to another commercial. I'm calling the game. There we go. I'm calling the game for you. For those people that want to watch me call it in my face, I don't know. We're just trying to close out this show. We're actually going to close out. This commercial break is going to end the show. We want to thank everyone for tuning in today to Running Point on ysnlive.com. Brought to you by Greenwood Chevrolet in Austintown. I want to thank Joe Gabriel for giving us his time doing an interview that we can get out to the public. If you missed a part of it, want to see it in its entirety, that interview can be found on ysnlive.com. It can also be found on our YouTube page. Want to take the time to remind you that if you are on our YouTube page, if you're checking something out, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you feel so kind enough to do it. That helps us get out to the algorithm of YouTube and gets our videos out there the more subscribers we have. If you're subscribed, you make sure to hit that notification bell so you never miss any of the video content that we put on our YouTube page. We have coaches' corners, player profiles, game highlights, post-game interviews. A lot of fun stuff goes up on our YouTube, and it's pretty much updated with new content every day. So make sure to tune into that. Make sure to get locked in so you never miss a video that we post on our YouTube page. Other than that, I want to say thanks for tuning in. We'll be back tomorrow on Running Point from 1 to 2 to close out the week. We have baseball and softball on Saturday to preview, so we'll go over what the schedule looks like tomorrow for the weekend. Until then, I want to say have a great evening, everybody. Check out some lacrosse tonight if you want to go brave the cold. Mooney at Poland Girls Lacrosse. We'll have our ace photographer, Gary Leininger, out there if the game happens. We're kind of up in the air right now because of what the temperature is. But if the game happens, our ace photographer, Gary Leininger, will be out shooting some lacrosse tonight. And we wish both teams the best of luck. We'll be back to